tip for this week is how to weave in yarn tails on seed stitch. And in the basics course and in the master's program, we recommend that you use the duplicate stitch method, but that's because the majority of the swatches are stockinette. Duplicate stitch is possible in seed stitch, but it is a little more difficult. Now, in this case, I have changed colors in the middle so that we can see it, and I've got my yarn tails pulled through here, and I also have threaded up 2 needles. Now, whenever you are making a mid-row join, and this isn't recommended, you shouldn't be making mid-row joins. You should be making your changes at the edge, but periodically if it does happen and you've got to deal with it, or you're changing colors, it's necessary. The important thing is notice that my blue yarn is over here and my white yarn is over here. And if I weave them in this way, in that direction, there will be a hole. And what I need to do is to complete the stitch that would have been if I'd been using the same color of yarn. And so I take the one tail on the left to the right, and I take the one on the right to the left. And what that does is it crosses at the bottom, and there is, it completes the stitch. Now, to do duplicate stitch in seed stitch, I need to follow the path of the yarn, and it's going to be transitioning from a knit stitch to a purl stitch. So I go in here and I thread up through here, and then where does the yarn go? Well, it goes, it's a knit stitch, so it goes under here, and if I just put it under that whole stitch, it's going to be visible from the front. So it's very important that I split that stitch just a little bit and bring it down. And here's a follow the path of the yarn. This time it's going up here and it's a purl stitch, so I follow the path. And there I go. Now you can see that this is pretty clunky. It's bulky, because seed stitch is bulky, and it's kind of hard to see. Now it is invisible on the other side, and when I stretch it, you don't see it. But it is kind of a pain to do. And I would continue over on this other side. And here, I'm going to go up under here, complete that stitch, and I'm going to go under here and split that stitch. Sorry. And so on. Now, there is another way that you can weave in yarn tails on seed stitch that I frequently use because I think it's a little better. And the key thing to remember with weaving in any yarn tail, the important thing is that it stretches when the fabric stretches, and generally fabric is stretching widthwise, not lengthwise when you're wearing it. Just that's the nature of knitted clothes. And that it not pull free and it not be visible on the right side. Now, another way I can do this is I can weave it up vertically like so, and I'm using a different color, and I just kind of go from purl bump to purl bump, and I'm kind of splitting again the stitch a bit so that it stays on the back and doesn't pull through, and I get this kind of like zigzaggy thing going up. And what I need to do is I need to check on the right side, do the stretch test. No, not really visible. Stretch this way, and I'm doing fine. Now the problem is that this might pull free if I just have a yarn end. And so what I generally do is do a little locking stitch at the top where I do a duplicate stitch. And I'm going to do a duplicate stitch here. Whoops. And go down. And there it is. Now if I stretch it, it's not visible and it's not pulling free. And there we go. So that's another way you can do duplicate stitch. Now, or not duplicate stitch, weave in tails on seed stitch. Now the important thing to remember is that generally this is going to be the same color of your yarn, and if you've got something that's reversible, this is kind of unattractive. In the written piece for the tip of the week, I'm going to go into much more detail about when you'd want to weave this in and difference between seamed and non-seamed, etc. So you might want to read that piece as well as watch the video. Next week we'll be weaving in yarn tails where reverse stockinette is the right side.